Welcome to Public Health Matters, where we talk about matters in public health. I'm Jane Goodman, Public Health Strategist with the Nashua Division of Public Health and Community Services. I want to welcome you to today's show. And first, before we introduce our guest, I'd like to give you a little bit of a COVID update. We'll start with a vaccination report, which tells us that we have substantial transmission in the state of New Hampshire. We're mostly seeing the Delta variant right now, and states that are having the most difficulty with the Delta variant right now are Florida, Louisiana, Texas, Arkansas, and Alabama. 83% of all the sequence cases in the United States are now considered Delta. And over 99% of the hospitalizations due to COVID-19 are in those that are not vaccinated. So we just want to remind everyone that vaccines are readily available, and you can go on to a very simple website, vaccines.gov, and you can search a place near you where you can get the COVID-19 vaccine. So I urge everyone to do that if you haven't already, or if you have a friend or neighbor that you'd like to keep safe, please help them navigate the system. It's been made as simple as possible. Local providers, pharmacies, and many other places, including our own Division of Public Health Clinic, have readily available COVID-19 vaccination. I just want to move to this next map where you see that the whole country is virtually under high transmission rates. And you'll see that on the top of the graph is the darkest color. New Hampshire remains in substantial transmission. The CDC categorizes things a little bit differently than we do. We use minimal, moderate, and substantial. And right now we are in substantial, both as categorized by the CDC and the state of New Hampshire. Looking at our next graph, we see that COVID vaccines among the 12 to 19-year-olds is at 36.4%. So that's a lower number as kids get ready to go back to school. And if you're comfortable, please have your child vaccinated against COVID-19. They would be receiving the Pfizer vaccine, and it's 3 weeks apart. So being the time that we are right now at the end of summer, it's a good time to take care of that vaccine and any others that you might need to enter back into school. Just to give you a Nashua update, we have 52 active cases in the city of Nashua right now, and our infections per 100,000 are 117. Our 7-day total test positivity rate is 3.4%. So because we have more than 100 cases per 100,000, we are considered substantial transmission. As far as vaccines go, we have 66.5% of the population that is eligible for vaccine has had one dose, and we're at 61% of those eligible being fully vaccinated. So we're doing well, but we could do better. We need to bring these vaccination rates up in order to stop this Delta variant from really wreaking havoc on our state and in our city. Just my little reminder, I'm part of the solution. You see this, the mask. We have our special public health masks on today. We've had to put them back on. We're in an indoor space. So for safety, we will be wearing masks until the foreseeable future when transmission rates decline. So should you wear a mask again? Our recommendation is yes, absolutely. The CDC guidance tells us to maximize protection from the Delta variant and possibly prevent spread to others. Wear a mask indoors in public, or if you're in areas of high transmission, substantial or high transmission. And you can see from the map that we're showing, again, we're in substantial, where the New England tends to be the lighter color on the map. Wearing a mask is very important if you have a weakened immune system or an underlying medical condition, if you are increased risk for severe disease from COVID-19. So again, we urge all of you to go out and get those vaccines if you haven't already, and or to help a friend or neighbor. So now, with no further ado, I'm very pleased to introduce our guest, Dr. Garth McKinney. Welcome.
Thank you, Jane. Thanks for having me.
Dr. McKinney is our interim superintendent of schools in Nashua. A very big job these days. We were talking a little bit before the program, so I want people to know that you're well rested, and that you did have a little bit of time off in July. You having a good summer?
Yes, having a good summer. Got some time off. July slows down a little bit, but then once August comes, the switch goes back on, and we're getting ready for the first day of school.
Yeah, so there's a lot of talk. There have been Board of Education meetings and a lot of things. So let's just back up and maybe just tell me the scope of the Nashua schools, how many high schools, and just for our audience that may not really realize how many students there are in the district.
Sure. There's about 10 to 11,000 students in the district. We service all kids pre-K to 12. We have 18 schools, 2 high schools, 3 middle schools, 12 elementary schools.
Oh, 12.
We have a new school called Franklin Street, which is housing some of our preschool and an alternative ed program for high school. So we're almost at the 20 school mark. We offer programs, just the traditional K to 12, but we also have a career and technical ed program, one of the regional centers in the state, one of the second largest. So we have a great opportunities for kids, whether it's going to college or going into careers. Our kids have access to some amazing programs.
Well, that's great. And when you say what's in the technical school, I'm just curious, like what
Everything from
programs?
automotive to cosmetology, marine biology. We do just about everything. So we partner with businesses, and they can earn credits for high school, but also earn industry certificates and walk into jobs right after they graduate.
Oh, that's fantastic. So right now, you said summer school is winding down,
Yep.
is over.
Yep.
And how did that go with, we were kind of in minimal transmission then. Was it successful to have kids back in school? Or?
Sure. It's a smaller sample size. We have about 1,400 students. We have 13 to 14 different programs around the district. Ran for about 4 weeks. We had a handful of cases, but all in all, they did very well. It's a little different, not as many students, and they can do more things outside when the weather's nicer, even though we had a lot of rain this summer.
Right.
But all in all, it was a nice opportunity for kids to stay engaged, and I definitely want to say thank you to the teachers that went above and beyond and worked this summer after a challenging year and stayed on and helped our kids. They were off getting some vacation before they come back the end of August.
Yeah, it's a lot. And how did they find, now were the kids there to make up time because of COVID, or were there certain students that are designated to come back for summer school, or how does that work?
So there's a variety of programs. Some are special needs students who are required to get extra services. We targeted some kids who could need additional help and support. We do a competency recovery program, so kids who just are a couple classes shy of graduating can come back and graduate. And I attended that, and it was great. So there's a variety of programs that we use for kids, and hopefully next summer we'll expand that and have more opportunities for kids. But we're looking into planning that right now.
Have you noticed are kids behind from when they ended the school year? Was that a lot of your portion of summer? I mean, because that's something you read about in the newspapers. I'm not saying it's necessarily pertinent to hear.
We take it on a case-by-case basis. I definitely think learning happened. It wasn't something we were prepared to do and go into remote learning. So just after being a teacher for a number of years, not everybody comes the first day learning everything in the grade before. So our teachers are great at figuring out where kids are and then moving them forward. That's one of our goals this year is student achievement, finding out where they are and how we can move them forward. Right,
so that'll be in September. Is that when you start at right after Labor Day, or do you start before?
We have 3 days before Labor Day, and then we have a little day, Labor Day weekend off, and then we're back for 4 days.
Okay, yeah, that's what our district does too, but I just was wondering about Nashua, if they've made that change. There's some kind of movement to start after Labor Day, but not yet.
Not yet, no.
So school opened back up on April 19th, 5 days a week, and up until then it was a hybrid model. So now we're looking forward, which is fantastic. So let's just talk about the fall. I mean, what's going to be happening? How do you feel about reopening? And optimistic?
Certainly optimistic. Our goal is to, safely bring kids back in person pre-K to 12. And our 4 district goals are around student achievement, social emotional learning, health and safety, and family engagement. So we're hoping, together with the national community, that we can do everything we can to have our kids be in school. Remote learning worked for some kids, but particularly our youngest students, I think, do well in person. And we do in-person learning very well. We've done it for a long time. We have some really talented teachers. So while it's a challenging time right now, it's kind of like Groundhog's Day. It was like this last year. Metrics are moving. There's not a lot of clarity on certain things, but I'm hoping that we can bring kids back and really give them 180 80 plus days of school.
I hope so too. And so when we talk about like bringing them back safely and health
Yep.
and safety, obviously COVID has awakened all of our health needs and our really how to wash our hands better and all of those things. So tell me what the school district has done in the buildings and stuff to make it a safe environment for the kids.
So we just published our reopening plan, and the universal best practices from vaccines to ventilation are all part of our plan. Everything from hand washing, etiquette, cleaning, screening before you come to work, employees and students. We're starting with a testing program at the high school level to keep high school kids in school and keep athletics moving. So all those 9 major preventive strategies are part of our plan.
And I know that the Board of Ed met recently,
Yep.
just a few days ago or last night or
Monday.
Yep. Monday. Time just has a way of getting away from me. So there was a decision that students will be wearing masks. So let's just talk about that.
Yep.
I mean, it makes sense to me, but
Sure.
let's explain the rationale behind that so our viewers kind of understand where that comes from.
Sure. I mean, we're very fortunate in Nashua. We have a great public health department. Bobby Bagley, the director, came and presented the metrics there, and the board made a decision based on that and recommendations from the CDC and the American Association of Pediatric Doctors. And in the end, we're trying to keep kids safe. We're trying to keep them in school in person. And 9 times out of 10, the kids are great. Do they get mask breaks? Yes. Can they wear masks? Not have to wear them when they're outdoors? Yes. But the kids want to see their friends. They want to be with us. And if it's one of the tools in the toolbox that we have to use to keep kids in school, that's the decision the board made.
That's great. And so when they came back in April, they were wearing masks as well, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
And I just saw so many reports, again, this is like social media, but I saw on the sounding board, the kids were so happy to be back in school.
Yep.
Mask or not, they were so happy to be back in school. So I hope that the same reaction, regardless of mask wearing, it's pretty easy lift. I hope most people agree.
I hope so too. The saying that I heard lately is, I think we all want to be done with the pandemic, but I don't think the pandemic's done with us. So we kind of have to do these little things so we can get closer to normal. And like you're saying, I think the kids just want to be back to that kind of sense of normalcy of being in school, seeing their friends, and learning's fun. So they come and they have fun, and we have great teachers.
Right, and then also it's helpful to the parents who need to go back to work as well. I mean, that's a big deal for a family too, just to not have to monitor the schooling online. And
Doing
that
double
kind of
duty.
thing.
Yep, parents are a great partner for schooling and education, but I think I have 3 kids at home. After a while, I think we all need a little space from one another.
Yeah.
And I hope we can help parents out with the before and after school programs, trying to keep athletics going and doing all the things we can do to provide kids, an all-around experience, not just academically, but socially as well.
And one thing I noticed, and Nashua's a big school. I mean, there's a lot of kids, like the 6-foot spacing would be near impossible. So the next best thing is really to have these masks on and to make sure that we're as comfortable, making the teachers as comfortable as possible in the classroom as well. Can't forget about them. If you have teachers that are more at risk or, that kind of thing.
Yep, that's one of the strategies as well. We try to, since we're planning in person, the guidance is maximize the space as possible with the goal of getting to at least 3 feet or more.
Okay.
Some of our classes, particularly at the high school, we're not planned for having kids that far apart. But in some of our classes, there'll be 3 feet of distance or more. We have dividers, we have plenty of masks, we have plenty of cleaning supplies, all the things that we need to keep both kids and teachers safe. And we'll put those in place as we need to.
And do you have I'm just curious, backup as far as, kids love to pull their masks down and you hate to be the mask police. So
Yep.
how do you reinforce that, for the teachers so that they can teach and not have to be distracted by that?
I mean,
It's
I'm
a-
a
it's a-
parent. I'm a parent. I
Yeah.
think I
I
learned
see.
from my parents from modeling, so I ask that our staff members be good role models and kids follow along, and they always meet those expectations. No, we don't want to be caught in a place where we have to be the mask police, but 9 times out of 10, when we ask kids for compliance and put their mask on, or if they just need a break, they're very willing to do that because in the end, again, they like learning, they like being with their friends, they like being with the teacher, and I think we do a really good job in Nashua. We're the second largest district in the state. We do teaching really well. So I think in the end, it's just kind of a happy compromise. And again, it's about the 180 days of school. So this is my 7th year in Nashua, and I really do believe when people ask for help and try to pitch in, everybody does comply. So in the end, if we can all just kind of be part of that solution, help out and help our kids, that's my favorite part of the job, is being there for children and teachers and making great things happen.
Yeah, and that's one of our catchphrases, is being part of the solution. So in this case, it's really your whole school community, the staff, the teachers, the students, the parents, really making sure that, you know, kids have their hand sanitizer, they have their masks, and that they go there knowing hopefully this will be a temporary situation, but we have to get it under control. Vaccines, so any idea like how many of your 12 plus kids are vaccinated, or is that? So I know that the school district held a vaccine clinic at one point.
We have held one, we have one coming up. We're definitely trying to encourage vaccinations. It's not one of those things we can require or inquire about, but I certainly hope that's a choice that people make. You know, I've had conversations with staff members and students. Many of them have gotten vaccinated, and some haven't made that choice yet as well. But again, both are welcome at our district. We just ask that they comply with the reopening plan and the board guidance that's been put into place.
So, and we actually, the division hosted a fantastic vaccine clinic for the staff, and it was great. When they came through on the weekends up at Fidelity, and it was just really great. Everyone, they could sense the relief.
Yes.
Finally getting their shots, and you know, it was really nice, and it was fun to see them all really come out for that.
I got both my shots there, so thank you.
Oh, you did? Yes. Oh, good. So we've met before. So, okay, enough COVID. Let's talk about all the exciting things going on in the district. A new middle school is going up.
Yes.
Do tell.
So it's a middle school project. It's actually improving all 3 middle schools.
Okay.
So we had some work done at Fairgrounds Middle School. We'll actually be having an open house coming up in the next couple of weeks, and the building looks amazing. But the next project we're working on is Pennachuck, expanding that building, doing some things with the traffic.
Okay.
And then the final end of the project will be building a new middle school and moving some students around from what's now the Elm Street Middle School. So it'll be brand new, state-of-the-art middle school as well. So in the end, we'll have 3 comparable middle schools that are state-of-the-art, that have just about everything the kids need, a lot of great resources for science, technology, engineering, and math. And I'm just super thrilled that the city is supporting it. When I walked through Fairgrounds, it was not the building I saw a few years ago. So I think we're really, really lucky.
That's very exciting. So you mentioned like redistricting. How does that? Well, that just shifting some students around to even out the populations in the schools, or? 2
of the middle schools are around 800 students, and Elm is our largest at like 1,100.
Okay.
So we're trying to even them out. There's a committee that's working on it, a task force that includes parents, teachers, students, community members, members of district administration. They've been working on it for a little bit of time now, and then eventually they'll present a plan, obviously to the public and to parents, but then make a recommendation to the board.
Okay, and then where will will it still be Elm Street Middle School? Or is it going up the street?
We're just calling it the new middle school. It hasn't had a name yet.
It doesn't have a name?
No.
Does it have an address yet?
I don't have the address with me, but I can definitely get that
so
to you.
there is a place picked out to
no.
put it. And it must be close by, so that, because it does serve quite a large neighborhood in that area.
The new site has more access to athletic fields and space. You know, the Elm Street, the way it's configured now, it's downtown, it's kind of limited. So the hope is to have this space that has more of those things that we can offer for middle school students.
Sounds fantastic. And then you mentioned it earlier in the show, but I'd like a little bit more information, because I hear alternative school. And are you opening one or building one, or? And what does that mean?
So we've had one, we call it Brentwood. It is an alternative school. It's kind of like a subdivision of Nashua High South. It had been up in Merrimack, and the facility there wasn't great. So we brought it back to Nashua, and we were leasing a space up off Amherst Street. And now we're combining Brentwood in the same space with one of our preschool programs. So in the end, Brentwood is kind of an alternative high school for kids who may struggle in a traditional setting. It's much smaller. The schedule's a little more flexible. Get a lot more one-on-one support. There's a handful of teachers that work there, so everybody knows one another. They're like a little family. So it's been successful. I went to the graduation this year. We had 4 students who graduated from there, and it's just another resource that we have in our pockets to help all kids.
That's great. And how long has that been open there? Or?
So the new building on Franklin Street will open this fall.
Oh, okay,
Previously, it was on Amherst Street for like 2 or 3 years.
Gotcha. So we have a new building opening in the fall, so that's exciting news.
Yeah, so we're on the top floor will be Brentwood, and on the first floor right now will be a number of our preschool classrooms. They had been in different elementary schools around the district, and we're bringing them together so that the kids can do things together and all the teachers can collaborate a little bit more.
So is preschool in Nashua is something that you have to be selected for, or is it open to the public to sign up for?
It's a little bit of both. The public can apply for it. There are only so many slots there, but it's also a program that we service kids with disabilities who need additional support.
So some early intervention and that kind of thing.
Yep.
Okay. So anything else you want to tell me about this amazing school district, and any shout outs to parents or to teachers or?
Well, I definitely want to thank all our employees for everything they've done over the last year and a half. Aside from that, I definitely want to just highlight the work that we'll be doing this fall around social emotional learning and the trauma preventive strategies that we'll have in place to help all kids. We have a range of interventions planned, both virtual and in person, and we believe in the whole child, and you have to come ready to learn, and we'll be taking time to evaluate how kids are doing and ready to learn and come back, because some kids obviously lost family members. We have high school students who had to become breadwinners, and we have everything in between. So we're really going to take time to build relationships, welcome kids back, let them know they're safe, and then see where they are on their learning paths, and then move them forward.
And I will say, from a public health perspective, it's like music to my ears, and I'm sure Director Bagley's ears also.
Yep.
We talk a lot about adverse childhood experiences, but also adverse community experiences.
Yep.
So as a community, really nationwide, everywhere, but Nashua's no different. We've really had to get through these, a very difficult time, and what that impact will be is very critical for us to understand so we can move kids forward. Like I said, that's just music to our ears when we hear that.
Well, and we're fortunate. We have a lot of great community partners, not just public health, but ALC, the YMCA, the Boys and Girls Club, Nashua Public Library, Nashua Grows. They're all community partners that help and support our kids and have done so over the last year and a half. And I think that's one of the strengths in Nashua, people coming together and helping our young people. I've talked to Director Bagley about ACEs and partnering around that. We've done trauma responsive school professional development, K to 12. So we're really working on trying to do a little bit of both for our kids.
It's fantastic, and it's great. And we look at, in public health, we look at working with the community too. So just knowing that everyone's kind of banding together, because that's the only way we're going to make progress and get through kind of this bump in the road, which we're going to get through, but we're just going to use our mitigative measures in the interim. Well, I want to thank you for all the work you're doing in the schools. You really don't get much time off. Everyone thinks like teachers get the time off. The superintendent does not. You're really working through the summer, and it's a lot of issues to work out, and things change so quickly. So, thank you for all your service to the Nashua community. We do have a back to school immunization clinic. So I just want to give a shout out on August 19th from 3 to 6 p.m. We'll be at Nashua High School North. You can do all your vaccines there, not just COVID. We encourage you, if you're over 12, we will have that as well. But those childhood immunizations that you need for school, so families can check the records, or if you've heard from one of the school nurses, this is a great opportunity. And we also have immunization clinics at our division on 18 Mulberry Street every Tuesday from 4 to 7 p.m. and on Fridays from 9 to 12. And just finally, coming back to school, we have a Nashua Goes Back to School event that we've been working a lot with people in the district on. Kind of an exciting time The principals are there, some
Yep.
of the teachers are there. The kids come, there's a lot of tables. They
Yep.
can get like a goodie bag from a lot of different tables. Some school supplies, I believe, also.
Yep, we have backpacks, school supplies. They can sign up for our lunch program. It's all
Yes.
right there, one-stop shopping.
Right, so it's a great opportunity. That's August 26th. It's going to be in front of the Nashua Public Library in the Plaza area. That's going to be from 5 to 6:30, so after work. So please come on by with your kids. Our van will be there with, I think we're going to be doing all sorts of immunizations there. We'll be doing COVID shots, I believe, there. And then if families want to make an appointment, they can come back to our clinic the following day on the 27th and receive their childhood immunizations or other ones. So that's just quality control and vaccine control. So that's all we have here today. So thank you for joining us on Public Health Matters, and we'll see you in a few weeks.